So I see it's time to start. So let me briefly introduce our last panel of the conference, but certainly not our least one. And this one, I have to say, I'm pretty proud of myself for putting this together, because this is a conference that is very, very focused on using music to teach STEM, which is a great topic for a conference. But in focusing in on this, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that music is just one of the arts that can support STEM education. And so as our final panel, I wanted us to sort of take a step back and say, how does this relate to more general strategies involving the arts? And I'm absolutely delighted that we have two people heavily involved in thinking about this with us for this panel. We have Dr. Merryl Goldberg, who's at CSU San Marcos, former professional musician, now educator. And we have Dr. Ashley Baer of the National Academies, who is participating in the National Academies study on STEAM, linking up STEM with the arts. So they're each going to say a bit about themselves and their work, and then they will engage each other and you in conversation. And I'm going to try and stay out of the way. So with that, I will turn it over to Merrill, who's going first.
Hey, thanks, Greg. I really appreciate it. It's way cool to be on the panel with Ashley. Thanks. I'm thrilled. So like Greg said, I'm a professional musician. I was on the road for 13 years playing klezmer music, which is Eastern European Yiddish music. It was a blast. But I'm going to start out the presentation with some of these art cards. And these are actually like playing cards, which you can have too. At the end of my presentation, I'll have a way for you to get in touch with me to get some of these cards. But each of these cards, we call them Why Art cards, are backed up by tons and tons of research. And we, on a website, are linked to the studies that back up all of these cards. So for instance, art gives students a voice in learning and telling their stories. Art cultivates tomorrow's leaders. Art nurtures hope and resiliency. Oops, I'm trying to move here we go. Art builds creative, innovative students who can think outside the box. Art encourages risk-taking and flexibility. Art strengthens students' ability to cooperate, collaborate, and problem solve. Art equals opportunity. Here are a few more. Students consistently test higher in reading and math. Art develops empathy, kindness, and cross-cultural understanding. Students consistently show deep critical thinking skills. And so these are some of our Why Art cards. And there's, like I said, tons and tons of research to back all this up. So I'm going to talk about, very briefly, 3 studies that I've been involved in. The first one is called DREAM, Developing Reading Education with Arts Methods. And by the way, these cards are students are more likely to pursue and succeed at post-secondary education, which is the second study that I'm going to talk about. Students are more engaged and motivated, which relates to the third study. And students have significantly better attendance rates. It goes across the board. So DREAM, Developing Reading Education with Arts Methods. So research shows that arts can and do play a critical role in setting a foundation for academic success, along with all sorts of other success for all students, and especially so for English language learners. So I'm a professor and researcher here at Cal State University San Marcos, which is a campus that's federally identified as a HSI, which is a Hispanic serving institution, as well as an Asian and Pacific Islander serving institution and Native American serving institution. The majority of our students on campus are first in their generation to go to college. The majority receive financial aid, and strikingly, 50% of our students are food insecure. We often don't think of food insecurity at college. However, not much changes for students who receive free and/or reduced school lunches in K-12 when they come to college. And those are the kids we have here on campus. Since 1994, I've led teams of researchers on how arts impact teaching and learning among students at the elementary level in college and in the field of high tech among engineers. For this presentation, I'll present the 3 studies: DREAM, Developing Reading Education with Arts Methods, which was conducted at the elementary level, and then the SERP study, which I call the College Arts Edge study, which focuses on college readiness and retention, and then a Viasat survey, which looks at the role arts play, especially music and high tech. So here we go. So DREAM, Developing Reading Education with Arts Methods. So this is a tool for learning. From 2010 to 2014, my team studied the benefits and challenges of using visual art and theater to teach reading in 10 school districts in Southern California. The program was called DREAM, and we, a group of arts and literacy professors, in partnership with teachers and artists, created several arts integration strategies to engage English language learners. Pictospells, which you see on the screen, were an invention of a teacher-artist collaboration. And building on research conducted by Carol Chomsky and her students at Harvard, Pictospells address both spelling and word comprehension. So students actually draw out the meaning of the spelling words by drawing the meaning of the words with their letters. So I don't know if you've been able to figure out any of these while I've been already talking, but on your left is the word round. It starts from the inside out, and the only lines or things on the screen are actually the letters of the words themselves, R-O-U-N-D. The middle is actually dinosaur. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the D is the body. The R is the head and the beak there. So that's dinosaur. And on the right is the word snap, which I think the kid really got the concept really of all of these. And we also did many other activities, including puppet performances based on characters and storylines. And we integrated rants, which are what I would call a combination of a rap and a chant, to do things like examine or read history texts. So some students made this rant on Martin Luther King. Goes, Martin Luther King, I have a dream, I have a dream, I have a dream. He was a great man, he had a great dream. Martin Luther King, I have a dream, I have a dream, I have a dream. And the kids created this wonderful rant that is kind of a chronological version and declaration of what Martin Luther King did, timeline of the events in his life and unfortunate end to it. Anyways, what's really interesting about this grant is what we had to do in order to look at it. So it's a federally funded grant, about $1 million over 4 years. And we had 3 groups of students in this group. The first group of students had teachers with no additional training in the arts at all, our control group. The second group of students had teachers who attended a 1-week intensive arts integration boot camp to learn how to use art and theater to teach reading. The third group of students had teachers who attended the boot camp, and in addition, also had a partner artist come to co-teach with them in their classroom once a week for 20 hours over the course of the year, so 10 hours each semester. We measured several things, including the development of lesson plans, the interactions of teachers with students, the interaction of the artists with the teachers. And one of the things that we were required to look at by the federal legislation was to measure students' test scores. Now, I wasn't really worried about these test scores because I've never been in a situation in my research where integrating the arts resulted in little or no test score rising. So this didn't worry me. But what was happened in this was remarkable and actually created somewhat of a ethical dilemma for us in the second year or the third year of our research. We found that kids, here's an example. So we found kids in the control group went up 25 points on their CELT scores, which are the California English Language scores in a year, which is good. You know, we don't know what was going on in the other schools. The kids who had the institute-only teacher training, so the teachers only went to that week-long boot camp, scored 51 points higher. The students who were in classrooms that had the teachers who had the boot camp plus the artists coming to their classroom scored 87 points. They went in 1 year from below basic to proficient, which is basically unheard of. And we did this amazing happy dance, as you can imagine, when we had these results. And then we stepped back. I stepped back and I went, oh my God, what about all those other kids? They are equally as capable, you know, of achieving this 87 points in 1 year. They just don't have that intervention. And we almost stopped doing, you know, our study for the, you know, one of the years because we knew that this intervention, this other intervention was much more powerful. And again, the thing that I walk away with in this is, you know, we had several thousand students in this study, but we have hundreds of thousands of students in our county. It's those students who are equally as capable that I'm even more concerned about. Okay, so that's DREAM. Now I'm going to go to my college students. These are my college students. I absolutely love them. They are from the same school districts as the DREAM project. So upon graduation, students with qualifying GPAs are granted automatic admission to Cal State San Marcos. We have partnership agreements with almost all the school districts here. Upon matriculation, each student that comes here fills out a CERP survey. So if you're in universities, some of you know this because it's done by almost every freshman throughout the nation. And it's a study, it's an incoming freshman survey that studies many things, different categories, and asks students to self-rate themselves on a whole bunch of different things, from academics to emotional to behavior to attitudes. So thanks to the Stewart Foundation, which is funding a bunch of my research and work, we've been able to start looking really closely at the CERP survey, which I am calling now the College Arts Edge Survey at our campus. It's really quite interesting. So we can follow the incoming freshmen and what they've taken in high school. So incoming freshmen with 3 or more years of arts participation have a statistically significant edge over students with less or no arts. Students with arts participation rate themselves higher in many categories, including compassion, creativity, volunteerism, leadership, problem solving, critical thinking, participation in clubs, community and civic engagement, evaluating information, taking risks, and discussing controversial issues. Access to the arts, however, varies widely by school district. Hispanic students, who are the majority on our campus, are the most underrepresented in number of years of arts background, raising the question of equitable access to the arts. We also wondered how the self-rating related to actual college retention. So we looked at that as well. Not surprisingly, students with arts participation have a higher level of college retention as well. So now I'm going to go actually to the last study. Actually, let's see if I can go back one slide. I'm going to go back so you don't read all that stuff. My last study is looks at high tech. So out here in California with Qualcomm and Boeing and Viasat, which is another high tech company, the CEOs and people who've worked there have been touting the fact that they hire people with arts background. Why? Because they think outside the box, and they work well with others. And they've been telling this in a bunch of different settings. So I wondered if it was actually true. So we were actually granted access by Harvey White, who's one of the co-founders of Qualcomm and who founded Viasat, which is another high-tech company. If you've been on a plane, you have probably used their Wi-Fi or the Wi-Fi that they've engineered. And I teamed up with my fellow professors in the College of Business Administration, and we developed a survey that we gave out to engineers at Viasat. And lo and behold, it was absolutely true. The engineers at Viasat had a significant amount of arts background and arts training in their K through 12 education, which is what we cared about most. And in fact, music rated very, very high. So not only did the engineers say that they had a lot of music in their K through 12 education, which meaning at least 4 years or more, but they also almost all had outside music experiences, playing in a band or taking private lessons. So part of the survey was asking them how their music made a difference. Oh, and by the way, not surprisingly and sadly again, the majority of the engineers are white men. And we already know that we need more women and people of color in the science arena. Well, anyways, here we go. Here are some of the things that the engineers say. How does your art background make a difference? Being in the marching band in high school, I had to work with people I didn't particularly like. We had to perform as a team, and it really taught me how to work well with other people. I learned how to take criticism and turn it into productivity. Being exposed to different forms of art from different places and time periods absolutely presented, hold on, I just have to move my little thing there. I'll start that one again. Being exposed to different forms of art from different places and time periods absolutely provided me with a better understanding of cultures and appreciation for everyone's contributions to the world. The ability to work well in a diverse team environment is invaluable to my current job. And finally, music gives me additional insight and vice versa into the design and operation of electrical circuits and systems. Here we go. So, I'll just conclude by saying, I really care so much about my students. And, I think these studies kind of going from elementary school into college and then, into the work field really show that, arts obviously make a huge difference, a statistical difference, even for those of you who are really super interested in numbers. And, but also brings up a huge question of access and, more importantly, equity. And I've been thinking about it like this. I tried it out on my students. You've got a path, let's say, when you're going into life and into a career, and you want to be successful. Everyone wants to be successful. So you want to get from A to B. And you've got two choices. You can go on a super cool Harley, right? Or you got a tricycle. And so which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose, I think most people would choose a super cool Harley. And it's fun, it's really neat. The Harley's the one that's got the arts. The tricycle isn't. And I think we owe it to, basically all of our kids, and certainly my college students, to ensure somehow that they get access or they have a Harley as well. So anyways, that is my 2 cents. I'm going to hand it over to Ashley, and I think I'll stop sharing my thing here. Oh, I guess finally, just last word, if you want to get in touch with me, and we can put this up later, there's my email, but you can get these packs of cards too. We can send you these art packs.